everybody, this is Alex Voss, your professor at TVE course, and I'm excited to bring a new television series called Kids Math. Kids Math is there to help you and your child learn more about mathematics in a step-by-step, easy way that emphasizes the relationship of numbers, how they are related to each other, and how it's easy to learn numbers and math when you understand the relationship, with an emphasis on doing things with your hands, making grids and charts and graphs to help your kids learn and understand numbers and their relationship to each other. So I'm excited to bring you the second course in this series, basically covering counting, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and overview. We're going to cover these topics independently in separate courses, but this course is an overview of these topics. Welcome back, and I'm so glad to have you here for class 2. And we're going to zoom in a little bit. You can see here, this is the number grid we had from class 1. And I gave you an assignment to fill in the missing numbers in the grid. So if you want to pause your playback on YouTube and take a look at it here, you can see where the answers are on the missing grid components. If we looked at the assignment, you can see there's open spaces here, and then this is the answer to the open spaces that you needed to fill in. Okay, this is going to be the beginning of class 2, and the first thing I want to teach you how to do is how to make a grid. Now in this mathematics series, we're going to use grids a lot. Lots of times people don't like grids or this way of doing it, but the reason I'm doing it for you is to help you develop an understanding of the relationship of numbers in a grid. And if we use grids, and if you can save your grids to help you answer questions in the future and get an understanding of the relationship of the numbers we're going to put inside this grid. So let's make ourselves a grid. Now all you need to do is get just some sort of paper that you could draw on, and I already made some grids, but I'm going to make one right here that will help us understand how to draw a grid. In order to draw a grid, just get some drawing paper, and then go get a ruler. And you can buy these inexpensive places, and then get yourself a pen. And what you can use the ruler to help you understand how to make a grid. And you've already got a right angle here on this ruler, so if you draw here and you draw across here, then that will help you make a nice square grid. And so I'm going to go to 5, and this is inches. You could use centimeters if you wanted to. And on each and every one of these little points representing a ½ inch, I'm going to draw a little line to show where that is. And then I'm going to come down here and do the same thing. And see, I'm using this line to make a square. So I'm going to come down here and draw a nice straight line, all right? And then every ½ inch, I'm going to make a little line to show me where that ½ inch mark is. And this is the beginning of drawing a nice square grid. And you can do this along with me. See how I've made that there? And then I can use this as a straight edge here, lining it up with the line on the right. I just do a cross like that. And then I know this may seem a little tedious to you, but what I'm trying to do is set this up where when you're learning your numbers and you've never learned numbers before, this is going to give you a system for understanding your relationship of numbers. And so even though this grid isn't perfect, it's very powerful in that it will allow you once you understand the powers of using grids to understand numbers in mathematics, how much more you will understand if you take time to work through these simple little exercises to help you understand the relationship of numbers. And when you use a grid like this, that's one way, one tool of helping you understand the relationship of numbers. Before the age of calculators, there was a lot of mathematical tables and charts, and people used these charts because all you had to do was look at the chart to answer questions that you'd normally get from a calculator. And it's very important for you to learn these numbers where they come automatically to mind as you're working them out. And so doing these little procedures that we're doing here will help you understand the relationship of numbers. And so that's why I'm taking time to go over this tedious task that lots of people will consider unimportant, just to show you a procedure that will allow us, because lots of times during this class I'm going to say make a grid, get a grid. And so right now I'm showing how you can make a grid using just some inexpensive paper, a pen, and make your own grid. And we're going to use many different grids in these exercises and make charts with them and give us ways to solve problems that you can do without a calculator. I'm not going to really use a calculator in this class because I'm wanting you to understand the relationship of numbers. And if the calculator gives you answers automatically, it's a lot more difficult to learn the relationship of numbers to each other and then have an automatic understanding of what the numbers do. And so that's what we're going to do it the old-fashioned way and begin by making a grid. And I hope you take this and take some paper and make several grids, because I'm going to ask you to fill in grids. Okay, here's a simple 10 by 10 grid, okay? And so that's the first thing I was wanting to teach you, is how to make a grid. And so there we just drew up a grid. And I would encourage you to make several of these so that we can go on and do things with these grids later on in the classes, because I'll assume that you've made up a bunch of these grids and so forth. Now the next thing, that once we've made our grid, okay, and here's a grid I generated on a computer. And you see it's nice and neat because I'm using a computer draw program, and this would be a very simple draw program like Windows Draw, which comes free on every Windows computer, and you also have an equivalent program on a Mac computer to make that grid.